Well, more now on one of our top stories. A major Singapore drug bust involving over 35 kilograms of drugs worth about 1.7 million Sing dollars. Well, joining us live is Sng Chern Hong, Deputy Director for Policy and Admin at the Central Narcotics Bureau. So first up, how concerned should we be at this record amount of drugs found and that drugs still managed to enter Singapore even though we're in the middle of a pandemic?
Yeah. Firstly, border security is always a priority for us. And actually, we have very strong presence at the checkpoints, meaning that the ICA, police, CNB, we are always there to deter and detect people from trying to smuggle drugs into Singapore. But despite our best efforts, I think there will be times when some drugs will still be able to get through. And that is why it is important for us to have very strong and robust inland enforcement actions. And this is one of the key strategies for CNB to tackle the drug problem. So we make sure that for whatever drugs that come into Singapore, we have strong enforcement actions inland to take out the drug traffickers and stop the drugs from flowing into the streets.
We certainly do have strong drug enforcement action that's taken with regards to drug dealing and drug trafficking in this country, Mr. Sng. But to what extent have the border closures that we've seen over the past year, the restrictions as well, as a result of the pandemic, impacted drug dealing in general here over the past year?
Yeah. So COVID, we know, does have created a lot of new norms. So for the illicit drug trade as well, it has impacted on the drug trade. Not only does CNB and the enforcement agencies have to adapt to this new norm, but also drug syndicates are also adapting. So if you can see some of the recent cases we had where we have syndicates trying to smuggle drugs by concealing it in fruits, trying to smuggle drug using UAV. And this is how they are trying to evolve and adapt to the new norm. But regardless of the method they adopt or how they evolved, we, CNB and the home team, we are committed to keeping the streets safe from drugs. And that's why we need a lot of collaborations within the home team and also a lot of support from the members of public to stay on top of the drug situation.
Now, let's talk about the arrested suspects. Now, they're aged between 27 and 33. I mean, are we seeing younger offenders these days, and is it a concern for CNB?
If I can refer you back to the arrest made last year, we have about 3,000 abusers arrested last year, and out of that, about 38% are new abusers, and 2/3 of these new abusers are below 30 years old. So it is definitely a worrying trend for us, and we are watching this very closely. And one thing that in order for us to better reach out to this younger generation, we put a lot of emphasis on our preventive drug education. We are coming up with more youth-centric content, as well as working with the community a lot more to get a message across to the young generation.
Mr. Sng, thank you very much for joining us this evening and sharing more about this major drug bust that was made by CNB. Sng Chern Hong there from the Central Narcotics Bureau.